rotten the system is.
Well, we've also got a hell of a lot of politicians that are objecting to Rupert's rape inquiry.
Well, I've got a confession to you, which I think says a lot. Well, I do actually have a friend who's a Labour MP.
Can we name him?
No, not at this stage. He wants to be a good guy. In his hard hearts, he's trying. He calls himself a socialist. And I've known him for like 15 years, coming up to 16 years. And he rang me July last year. So they'd been in government for a year. And after the pleasantries, I said to him, look, I've known you now for 15 years, and for 14 of those years, I was sitting on the government benches. Well, no, last year, 2 years, I wasn't. But I said, I was sitting on you always wanted to be on that side of the house. I said, you've had a year of it now. How's it going? And he's got what you'd class as an uber-safe Labour seat.
Right.
I mean, I don't think he's ever, hundreds of years, it's never had anything but a Labour MP. He said, I'm out at the next election, Andrew. I've definitely lost my seat. He said a few of the new Labour MPs who've been elected, they think we can turn it round. He said, but they are deluded. I said, I agree with you. Starmer's not going to do anything to curry favour with the people. It's just going to get worse. I said, but I'm not surprised. I mean, are you surprised? I said, you came into power promising that you're going to cut energy bills by £300 to the average household. I said, what did you do? You took the winter fuel allowance off most of the old people, the pensioners, and then you let the energy companies put their prices up by 9% in the October, again in the spring, and then again in the fall. I said, you, as supposed to be a socialist, I said, you took benefits off the severely disabled. I said, do you think that's going to make them more likely to work? He didn't say that. I said, but never mind. I said, as a socialist, you are giving them an alternative. That alternative is going to be assisted dying when you can't afford to live. You're ramming that through. I said, and for God's sake, I said, don't tell me you voted for that appalling decriminalisation of abortion up to birth, which is murder. And he said, I don't know. This is a 5-term Labour MP. I said, what do you mean you don't know if you voted for these things? He said, it's got so bad, Andrew. He said, I just sit in the tea room, which is right next to the voting lobbies in the chamber, members' tea room. He said, and I wait for the bell to go off, the division bell, and then I'll troop through, see where the Labour whips are, and they're indicating whether they want you to vote aye or no. So then I go through, and that's it. He said, I don't look at the order paper anymore. He said, because I've found out that if I don't know what I'm voting for, I can sleep rather better at night. So they're not even looking at the legislation. They're just, without fear or favour. So much fear that they daren't even look at what they're voting for, and they daren't stand up to their own government. And I said, well, come on. I said, look, if you're out of a job, just stand up in the chamber. Just tell the truth. Tell the people the truth. You've got nothing to lose. He said, Andrew said, they all saw what they did to you. They're not going to do that.